Landslide legislation now coming in on Apple, along with the other gatekeepers of tech. And we're going to dive into what that means for crypto, the metaverse, NFTs, all of the stuff that I think you guys care about. Diving deep on all that good stuff. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back to Metaverse Insider. Listen, there's a lot of things happening right now around this whole decision out of the EU that really aligns with what we've been talking about here on the show quite a bit, and that is how Apple has really been putting the clamps on innovation for not only Web3 but a lot of other app developers, game developers, etc. We're going to break down how this may be changing in terms of the landscape. So, first thing I want you to do, I hope that you will, is if you like our videos, if you've come here again, please just subscribe to the channel. Just give us a little tip for the holidays and subscribe. And also, if you like the video and you like these kind of breakdowns, smash like throughout the video. We love it to get that going. Let's go over to Cointelegraph. Apple now will allow third-party app stores in this windfall now for NFTs and crypto. This will play into a couple of things. This whole, we'll break this down for you guys to give you a full layout. Just remember, Apple's App Store still takes 30% from all things app related, any in app purchases, things of that nature. So you can imagine a marketplace, even any kind of app related product that's going to be selling a digital asset, a game, etc., would be, have that kind of Apple tax on it. But Apple's enforcement of its rule led to a block of Coinbase's self-custody wallet app. This was just here recently on December 1st, and Apple wanted to collect 30% of the gas fees. This is what was ironic. The gas fee thing, I think, really got them eating like a pig. And I think at this point in time, it's going to start to push back on Apple's situation. Listen, I'm an Apple lover. You see Apple stuff around here. They have been one of the dominant figures in tech. Maybe, just maybe, we may be in times for a change. So this is going to be a very interesting thing. A lot of stuff coming in from the European Union passing this landmark laws. This is going to rein in big tech in a big way. Some of the things that they're going to highlight, let me zoom in on this for you guys a little bit. It took a couple months of negotiations, procedures, all that good stuff. But you got the Digital Market Act and the Digital Services Act are now intended to promote better competition, improve privacy protection, as well as banning both the use of some of the more egregious forms of targeted advertising misleading practices. This is really what it was initially intended for, was the advertising that was happening on unsuspecting, citizens, and that in itself was really what got a lot of the activity going in the EU. So the EU has given both poles plenty of teeth. They can now dole out a maximum of 10% of its total worldwide turnover, that's your revenue, from previous year. And if they find that you're in non-compliance, it would jump to 20%. So this could be pretty big. Now, there's a hefty figure big enough that not even Apple would be able to stomach losing on a regular basis, although the GDPR regulation, EU, still has questions to answer about how much effort and time and money is prepared to put behind a body to monitor big tech. I think there'll be some self-monitoring in the sense because we'll see a lot of complaints in the industry. We'll flag it, tech shows, at journalists, as well as the app companies out there that are building these products will immediately let these things be known. So I don't think they're going to have a problem monitoring it. Now, granted, it may not catch some of the smaller projects that would get flagged, but listen, all they need is a couple of situations where they've been fined. This will get their attention in a big way. Engadget had a couple of points I wanted to also note here. This is EU limiting target advertising. This is kind of the original purpose of what they were attempting to do. And let me kind of scan down here. Yeah, here it is. So this is an example right here. Amazon, Apple, Spotify collectively spent more than 27 million lobbying EU policymakers last year to kind of change these terms of what these new services and Digital Market Act would entail. And that in itself is probably going to lead into laws that will help lawmakers around other countries, including the United States, to basically kind of blueprint this right into passing it into their own antitrust laws. So this is a huge, huge thing. I was surprised that this has not really been focused on because in this is a framework for Web3. Web3 is going to need that kind of distribution, the ability to sideload apps, the ability to not be able to go into an app store. And I'll explain of how this might collectively change some interesting aspects of where technology may be moving as well, because it could change the kind of games that are being built. It could change the destiny of Web3 gaming. It could also change the destiny of crypto. And there's a lot to that as well. New op-ed member, this is, they were talking about in an economic sector, as varied as fast-changing and fluid as digital apps, it's almost certain that regulatory interventions will have harmful unintended consequences. Now, this is coming back in from what the two app stores don't make a monopoly PR push that Apple was in. And Apple's going to continue to run their gambit of, I won't call it scare tactics, but they're going to, make people feel that, oh, are you sure you want to opt into this? Are you sure you want to do this? This could cause security issues. All those kind of things that for the normal Apple user, that's probably going to be okay. Because most normal Apple users are not wanting to extend out into these kinds of products and services that really are being invented and created around Web3. So, but I think this will have a period of time. It'll run its course, and then everybody's going to say, "Oh, I need to be on that app because I can't get it over here in the paid app store." Here's probably the guy. That's of course Tim Sweeney, Epic Games, that has pushed this so hard. Here's another Apple and Google astroturfing lobby just showed up. They're multiplying like flies, and this was back to that competitivist coalition thing that I just showed you. So his point is that this has been an all-out war on trying to hold this back. Very interesting situation. I'm surprised that the EU was the one. You look at the fines. That's why they're ballsy enough to do this. This is going to be a revenue engine for the EU, and that's one thing the EU likes: money. So Apple, Google, now on notice of where this is going. Here's Cory Doctorow. He's been a long-time tech journalist out there. You guys probably follow him. But mobile tech is a duopoly run now by two companies. We know who those are, and that is Google and Apple, with a combined 3.5 trillion in terms of their market cap. Each uses a combo of tech, law, contract, and market power to force sellers to do commerce via their apps. And then they extract these commissions and in-app sales. It is the perfect capture and never release system that they have been building. And I think it has finally come around to change their business model. Now, I'd love to get your input, because this is going to change Apple's business model along with Google's to a certain extent. Do you think this is going to hurt them as an overall company, or do you think it's going to cause more innovation? I'd love to get some comments below on what you guys think will happen. Also, take a pause here. I just want to make sure you guys hit the like button. That's one of the things that really helps the channel out. It also is one of the things that help us understand the kind of topics that you like. So if you like the video, just give us that kudo. Here was coming in from Engadget. EU reaches provisional agreement on the antitrust law targeting tech. Let me kind of scan down quickly here. You can kind of see what Apple said about this. Company was concerned about some aspects of law. We remain concerned that the provisions of the DMA will create unnecessary privacy and security vulnerability. This is BS, because they'll be able to deal with this. And we believe deeply in competition and creating thriving competitive markets around the world, and will continue to work with stakeholders through Europe. This is good for Meta. This is good for Epic Games. This is good for all the companies that are building in Web3. This is good for crypto. It's going to be good for Coinbase, bringing back this around at some point. Now, granted, remember, this is going to be happening in 2023 for the EU, which will most likely trickle into other countries around the world, most likely in Asia, South America. It may take a little bit here in the United States. It might be a 24 move, possibly faster. We'll see, because there is some bipartisan information that if you stick around toward the end of the video, it kind of shows you what could happen down the road. They further said, the company of head of WhatsApp basically said interoperability can have benefits, but if it's not done carefully, it could cause some probably big weakening issues of security and privacy in Europe. Remember, WhatsApp number one communication app in Europe. So that in itself is again just one of those things where we're going to see a lot of these kind of things thrown across the bow in terms of defense and lobbying and trying to soften and get regulators to possibly retrace what their decisions are. I don't think any of that's happening. Here's the timeline for the DMA. Commission proposal was just here recently. You had it on 12/15. Political agreement coming in the March. Then you've got DMA rules coming right there. That obviously came earlier. And then you've got DMA rules starting to apply. This will be in May of next year. And then data notifications. This will be in what looks like July. And then all the way into September, designation of gatekeepers. I think by then, and then application of obligations in 24. By then, right here, the gatekeepers are really going to start to identify a lot of the early services. But here's the thing. You are Apple. You have to be preparing for this. Europe is one of your biggest markets. You have to be preparing for this. Meta, I think, also is going to start pulling the triggers on how to market to the European Union under these guidelines of the DMA and the GDPR. And if I'm throwing out a lot of acronyms here, go search those things and read through those, do some research and deep dives on this. And this is for one, if you're long-term interested in digital assets, NFTs, even if you're interested in the stock price of Apple, Meta, Google, etc., you should know these things because this starts to define the structure in which these companies can operate. And that's going to be very important going forward. Let's see here. Benefits. There's also some do's and don'ts here. What are the benefits? Digital markets, business users are going to depend on gatekeepers. I don't think they'll have a big problem there. Innovators, tech startups, they'll have new opportunities. So I think that'll kind of create some new cool products. Consumers are going to have better services and choice. This is the nature of antitrust, and it's the benefit of why we have antitrust laws here in the United States and abroad. But also gatekeepers are also going to look at opportunities to innovate and offer new services. So I think, again, this gets back to not only controlling the unfair practices, but this is going to change a lot of what consumers will get. It's why we have such great programs in most part of just mobile and self-service. And I know that's not great, but we have a lot of companies we can choose from. And a lot of that was because of antitrust in the telecommunications area. Let's go to the examples of do's. And this is allow third parties to interoperate with gatekeepers' own services. So that's going to be big. Can you imagine Apple having to open this up? That is just crazy for them. And then you've got providing companies advertising on their platform with tools and information necessary for advertisers. This is huge. Apple's going to hate that. Allow their business users to promote their own offers, contracts, and customers outside the platform. That's really going to be the big advantage. And that's where you're going to start to see the advantage of smart contracts, things like that. So cool stuff here. The don'ts, let's get into that. Treat services products offered by the gatekeeper itself more favorably. So if you're showed, that may be a little bit hard to enforce, but through data coming from the third-party services, I think they would be able to resolve on that. In other words, say, hey, I'm doing this with Apple, and these are the kind of data points we're getting from regular, but this is what we're getting from Apple. We could show some problems there. Prevent customers or consumers from linking up to businesses outside their platforms. Can't do that. So that's big. Prevent users from uninstalling and pre-installing software apps if they wish. That's the one thing I love because I hate that about Apple. There's nothing you can do unless you want to, sidecar something or jailbreak it and mess up your whole operating system. This will be a change in all aspects of the ecosystem for Apple. This is going to change the iPhone marketing, the iPad marketing, the Macs. Everything is going to be changed here. Track in users outside of the gatekeepers. Woo! This is a big one right here. If Apple continues to start tracking against that, meaning they can't go out and start tracing down Meta's data and all of the others, big deal. So all this is really, I think, good for technology as a whole. Apple looks poised to open up its walled garden in 2023. This was just kind of a little bit of a play down showing how they might see this integrating within the platform itself. Here's some tweets too. Here was Mark Gurman. This guy is one of the big leakers out there for Apple hardware products mostly, but he's writing for Bloomberg and says Apple is preparing to open the iOS competing app stores, but only in Europe, which because they have to. This would leave American developers in serfdom, the nation where Apple was founded. So Congress must pass this Open Apps Market Act. I think this is going to push the U.S. to move very quickly because this automatically puts U.S. app makers into deficiency immediately. And it also, I mean, sure, you can make it for Europe, but your biggest market is right here in the United States, and you can't even use that service that's being implemented around the world, but not here. Again, U.S. stifling innovation, not first to the punch. This is concerning me because right now we're dealing this within blockchain, NFTs, the potential metaverse that's coming, because we're going to see regulations coming at the metaverse as well. All of this, I think, is a big factor on how we move forward. Here's Tom Warren saying, suddenly Microsoft's plan for Xbox Mobile Store on iOS and Android don't seem that far off. Interesting. So now you got the big boys coming in. This could be a very strategic aspect. Remember, don't forget, this was Tesla. Now and they just dropped this today. You can play Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, all that, all Steam related products now rolling out with Tesla. So you've got some very interesting integration. But I don't like that this was only on the Model S and X. I mean, come on, Elon. What's up with this? There's no way that, because I know the computer systems, the MCUs on those machines, Teslas, are the same. It should be on the Model Y and Model 3 for sure. I don't understand why this isn't system-wide. Anyway. All right, so I want to take a break and thank our sponsor. That is Ocean Crawler Watches. If you guys don't know, I'm a big watch fan. I love to collect watches, and I actually own an ocean crawler, and it's one of those that when you look at the dive business, this is probably one of the iconic watches out there. Now, they have a whole array of things. The ones I like are kind of interesting because, you know me, I'm a Bitcoin guy, so I love to look at what I think is their Bitcoin watch, and that is their Ocean Crawler Palladino, which is the Wavemaker V2. You can do pre-order on these right now. There's a really cool offer that they've given just to our audience, and that is a $150 discount. So all you have to do is use our link in the description of the video below or the podcast. If you're listening to this, you may not get a chance to see these beautiful watches, but use the link. It'll take you to their website. Just use the code Baron, and that will give you the discount code. So all you have to do is do that. You're in like Flint, and make sure and let them know we sent you. All right, so here you had Marsha Blackburn, a senator, that comes in. Where's she out of? Let's see. Let's take a
On
look
the Open
here.
App Market Act, this is bipartisan.
Yeah,
Senator Blumenthal and I have done this. It came out of Judiciary Committee on a 20-2 vote, which was very strong bipartisan support. This would remove Apple and Google as the gatekeeper on the App Store and allow people to work directly with innovators and developers on getting apps onto their phone. This is something innovators in Tennessee have told me repeatedly they wanted to see happen. It would also remove
20-2. Let me go back to this because she's saying one more thing here that we want to hit. But 20-2 is what I wanted to note. That's a good, overwhelming partisan approach on that. This act is going to pass. We're going to get this. Now, how quick we get this rolling out here in the U.S. is the question. Here's what else she had to say.
Move Apple and Google as the mandatory pay system. It would eliminate Apple and Google taking a third of the profits of these app developers. Of course, they're fighting it. This has been a big revenue stream for them. Just as Apple, you know, Maria, I think when you look at companies like Apple, they have considered themselves citizens of the world. So when they're in China, they kowtow to the Chinese Communist Party. You've seen this in the work they've done there in Xinjiang province with their chips and their devices. This is why they're looking for supply chains outside of China. You saw what they did with airdrop, the concerns there with the violations against human rights. And our Open App Market bill has received tremendous support from people that are in the.
All right, so a lot of her support. They're talking pay systems, the tech. Point she was making, I agree totally, is Apple has complied with the Chinese markets. They've complied with almost now they're going to be complying with the EU. There's no reason that we don't flip the switch on this as quick as possible in our lawmakers' halls out there, because this is going to change the definition of how we go forward. Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave right now. This is not a good thing for Apple. I fear that this is going to change. It will do two things. For Steve, this would have changed the destiny of Apple going forward, and he would have created, will have created a new ecosystem landscape of innovation to allow this to flourish and continue to create Apple as a very upstanding. I don't know if Tim Cook is the guy to do that. He's a supply chain guy. He's great leader, but this is going to take some innovation for Apple to figure out a way to be able to be as competitive. Because where I see this going, this could also surface in a way that is a little bit sketchy. And I want to kind of play it out for you for a second. I mean, because you open this up and you kind of let, we'll call it the riffraff in, you let the innovators in, and then all of a sudden, the real estate prices start going down in that market. And then all of a sudden, does Apple find a new toy to play with, and they just kind of let this market become a little bit of a cesspool? That's a concern. That could create a little bit of a problem. Now, the advantage is just being able to get into the app ecosystem. Maybe the marketplace itself, being the iOS system, the iOS marketplace, starts to become less and less of an issue. That is a problem because it also is a vehicle for delivery for Apple in all their other services, including Apple Pay, including music, film, everything. It's a big deal. So this may change the dynamic in how Apple goes forward. Be on the lookout for Apple's fourth quarter earnings and start watching the stock. I think we're going to see a big correction here, and I think we're going to see some big corrections on other stocks out there. Here's Apple stock real quickly. This is just their 1 month, a little bit of a down slide right here, coming from around 150 down here to 145. Not too bad right now, but I don't know that this has been realized yet by the market and what this might be. And if you look at some of the companies that might benefit from, here's Match Group, Tinder, all that, all these apps that could essentially sideload and get a way to do this within the app ecosystem without the services, their profitability could go up dramatically. So these kind of products right here, be on the watch for those. Epic Games, all these kind of companies that are really potentially leaning into this, NFTs, Web3 solutions, all that kind of stuff, I think are now fair game to look at long-term investment because the ecosystems will be opened up on both platforms, being Google Android and Apple iOS. Lots happening here, guys. This is good news, but at the same time, we got other stuff going on, and that's the regulatory issue. We're going to do some live streams for you this week, so make sure and check around for all that stuff. We've got a lot going. If you don't miss or catch all of our live streams, make sure and check them out because we're doing the FOMC thing. We've also, we'll live stream that. We'll do some analysis on that for you. We'll probably try to get you some of the hearing. We did one yesterday. Make sure and check it out where we broke down some of the Senate hearing, the congressional hearing that took place with FTX. Take a look at that one as well. Of course, if you guys are not in the Diamond Circle, make sure and jump in. It's really easy and it's free. All you got to do is just click the link below. You're in. It's that simple. You guys have a happy holidays out there. If you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.